Hello and welcome to Talk Georgia Question Time with me, Giorgi Rukhadze.
And with me, Nodar Kharshiladze.
It is so unprofessional and so murky.
Okay.
I think it must be Ivanishvili's personal letter.
Maybe those were in the previous ones, probably. And now this is the angry mode.
Could be that. Yeah. Surely that's Bidzina talking to Trump.
Yep.
So you owe me money.
I think our country now is ruled by a guy who has his demons in his head.
Anyone or anything that criticizes or opposes Ivanishvili or his regime.
Very well put. I think that's exactly what
This is what
did.
deep state is. Hello and welcome to Talk Georgia Question Time with me, Giorgi Rukhadze.
And with me, Nodar Kharshiladze.
This is a special edition of Talk Georgia where Nodar and I will be answering your pressing questions about Georgian and international politics.
Talk Georgia is brought to you by Droeba Media Group, a trusted source of high-quality news and analytical content.
And GSAC, a think tank providing comprehensive political analysis of Georgia and the wider Black Sea region, also academic and practical training for postgraduate students and mid-career professionals.
And now let's get to your questions.
Let's take a look at the first question, which came to us from Lily. And by the way, I would like to thank you for sending your questions to us. And if you want us to answer your questions for the next show, please send them to talkgeorgia1@gmail.com. You see the email on the screen. So let's go back to Lily. What was the real purpose of Kobakhidze's letter to President Trump and Vice President Vance? Was it a desperate move by Ivanishvili to provoke a response from the new US administration, or just a pure stunt by ruling party to blind supporters after failed attempts to mend ties with the US? What I suggest, Nodar, is that before we go into analysis of what Kobakhidze meant or what was behind it or what was the purpose of the letter, I think let's dive into the letter itself.
Oh my God!
Because
that's a dreadful affair.
But yeah, we need to because I mean it's not a long letter; it's a two-pager, and if you take a look at the passages,
Does not feel that way. It feels very long when you read it.
But, if you look at it, it is so unprofessional and so murky that I think it's not Kobakhidze who is the author of it.
Okay.
I think it must be Ivanishvili's personal
Before we
letter.
start diving into letter, let's talk about diplomatical letters itself.
Okay.
So
maybe.
there are some three basic things which you need to examine from the letter. It's a content, it's a form, and it's intent. So what it says, how it says it, and what is the real intention of the letter. So we can, the second one which you mentioned, form, it's like, I think that any of the decent school student would write better letter than this is.
Okay, about the form. Let me start it. Okay, look. This is how it starts. A week ago, I addressed you in a letter concerning US-Georgia relations. The letter was preceded by public statements in which I openly expressed Georgia's readiness to renew our strategic partnership with the US from a clean state, guided by a specific roadmap, and so on and so on. I mean, this is what I do sometimes with my students. What I say that, okay, 2 weeks ago, I gave you an assignment. Where is it? Today is the deadline. Where is it? More than that, a week ago, I reminded you that, it needs to be on my table today. Where is it? Well, this is the tone, isn't it?
It definitely skips the usual and affirmative part of such letters, which first of all expresses gratitude and then thanks the recipient, and we have lots of things to thank United States for, and ensures or hopes for a continued cooperation. There are some forms which such letters carry on. Maybe those were in the previous ones, probably, and now this is the angry mode.
Could be that. Yeah.
But again, if it's even angry mode, it could start like that let me assure that, and let me use this opportunity to kindly remind to your Excellency. I mean, these kind of things are...
Or at least referring to the letter of the 15th of May,
understanding your
understanding
your busy schedule, we humbly are asking you again to consider the possibility of reviewing the previously sent letter. None of that is here. Even English is so childish, and it's like teenagers speaking about some broken relationship. I send you SMS, why didn't you reply back? A form is so unprofessional that in my long career, and it's more than 20 years in government service, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I've seen people during the show, not this time, who hardly spoke Georgian, other languages, okay? Some military guys who were bandits but not military. You remember dark 90s. But I've never seen such a thing on a level that, first of all, it's not Kobakhidze's letter, it's Ivanishvili's letter. You can hear
I'm 100% sure about this.
You can hear him screaming from there. They have apparatus, okay? They have people working for them. At least one of them could sit down and give it a try to make it more readable.
I'll tell you what, even grammar is corrected by artificial intelligence.
Yeah. However, they can be, there is another scenario which one of my students told. I think we should consider this as already fixed version.
What do you mean by that?
So they wrote something very, very bad, and some people sit down and make it just very bad. So this version is already corrected version. Okay. First version was way worse, but they did not concede anything else. They let them correct some things, but the rest had to stay. So this is what remained as a letter.
Let's dive into the letter itself.
Okay,
well, the second paragraph says Georgia stood by the United States in the world's most critical hotspots, Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. Georgia contributed troops. And look, this is very interesting. Through participation in just 2 missions, our small country helped the USA to save $2.5 billion US, an amount that far exceeds the actual aid Georgia has received from the USA. Well, surely that's Bidzina talking to Trump. Yep. So you owe me money. So
both statements are false. First of all, I don't know how they calculated monetary value of our participation there, because first of all, some parts of our participation were actually paid by Americans, like logistics and food and medical. We only paid salaries. I mean, maybe they calculated average salary of American soldier there and minus I don't think that they went to such a complicated because $2.5 billion looks unreasonably high number. I mean, for a 1,000 in average 1,000 soldiers participating in the operation without combat mission. Okay, it's not airplanes or tanks, which are usually very, very expensive. It just were land troops. That's it. Secondary, total U.S. assistance to Georgia since 1994, I believe, exceeds $5 billion. So neither of these things are true.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is why I say that Bidzina speaks. Even in that paragraph, it says that, well, we don't mean funds allocated from the US like 2008, 2011 to preserve the regime of former President Mikhail Saakashvili after he initiated a war with Russia at the behest of the deep state. Well, that's something new, isn't it? I've heard before that the Global War Party that was behind this war, but the deep state, well, it's something new. Yeah.
However, one should not forget that this participation in Iraq and Afghanistan was also initiated at the same time.
Okay.
So during the Bidzina Ivanishvili's time, there was no troops sent with Americans. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, he sent some troops to Central Africa, but that was French. With Americans, it was, especially Iraq, it was at the Misha's time a huge presence.
And I even remember that when Ivanishvili campaigned, so that was the campaign issue to bring Georgian troops from Iran and Afghanistan.
So whatever he brags about
Iraq and Afghanistan.
2.5 billion, it was also done on behest of deep state. So.
Right. And most importantly, the silence from the new administration is both unexpected and perplexing for government of Georgia and people alike.
Oh, yeah. I think that one of our colleagues actually, examined this letter. He has this advanced version of ChatGPT, which is and he put this letter for diagnosis, and I think ChatGPT said that author of this letter has a disorder, personality disorder, and needs urgent treatment from professionals. So I think that's the part of this kind of the paranoia that why absolutely unjustified, because Trump never met Ivanishvili or Kobakhidze. I mean, he doesn't know them. He doesn't care. Trump mostly doesn't even care about people he met and who he called his friends. I mean, some of them. Now about some foreigner from the far, far away, from American perspective, from tiny country, asking for some money maybe? Because that sounds like that. Where is my money, as you said? So what you said in the beginning was important. That is this letter for Trump or for Georgian people or for himself?
Yeah, there could be that. But I think we'll go to that when we are done with the letter. I think that then we can analyze it if it is, okay, possible. Right. But again, the letter continues that they are moaning about, okay, the lack of response, etc. Then they start boasting about that Georgia is a regional leader in terms of democracy and rule of law and human rights and media freedom and judiciary system and strength of the institutions and low level of corruption, etc., etc. And taking all this into account, and given that your administration actively engages in dialogue and communication with numerous states, including some that are openly undemocratic and authoritarian, your silence with regard to Georgia lacks any logical explanation from our perspective.
So they're calling him an idiot.
Right, or they call themselves as undemocratic and authoritarian.
No, they say that, you are dealing with so bad guys that we are just a little bit bad. Why don't you deal with us as well?
Exactly. Or even, we are even worse.
No, they don't. They say we are champions here, okay. Come on, but they say that, we are nothing, but they are way bigger and bad wolves here, and you deal with them. What's wrong with us?
Okay, but that's not all.
Nope.
So if we examine the public rhetoric of our government and your administration, a striking alignment of values and ideology becomes evident. So, do you know why? Because the Ivanishvili's government is, repeats everything. They kind of repeat whatever Trump says, whatever, the new administration says.
I'm pretty sure they're sitting.
I'm not surprised.
They have these tasks to sit on these ultra-right websites, which are the Trump's, part of the Trump supporter base, and Breitbarts and all this stuff, and they are way worse website. And they're just taking message from there and putting in. I know that, because when I read them, I see where they come from. These guys are not authors of this. This deep state and global war party, this is all coming from there. So yeah, they're saying, we keep repeating your propaganda. Why don't you make a note of it?
Okay. And the next thing is this. The Georgian people initially expected that Georgia would be among first countries to attract your particular interest and attention.
Substitute Georgian people with me. I initially expected that we won't be Zina's behalf.
Okay, such interest, for example, has been shown towards Romania and Germany, where, with the support of European bureaucracy, undemocratic actions have taken place. However, to the surprise of both Georgian people and ourselves, your administration has shown no such attention towards Georgia to this day. So I think, it means that, in Romania and Germany, there are some undemocratic things going on. But let's assume that, some undemocratic things are going there. And because of that, the US new administration showed certain interest in those countries. And in Georgia, where a lot more undemocratic things going on, they didn't show any interest.
No, what happened actually that Romania, there was the elections of Mr. Georgiescu's victory in first tour, which was then banned by a Supreme Court, and Vice President Vance called this undemocratic. And then there was Mr. Musk's involvement with AfD, his attempt to support and ensure better results of AfD, which also did not result in anything concrete. AfD did not came to power. So they say that, you supported Georgiescu, you supported AfD, and they're putting themselves in, why you are not supporting us?
And also the idea is that, okay, because those states, or in Romanian case, that was the Constitutional Court that removed the Georgescu from the presidential elections and annulled the results. And also that domestic intelligence agency in Germany that basically assessed AfD as, the ultra-right, whatever Russian-funded party. Because of that, there is a talk about banning them. And here there is a talk about banning some of the pro-Western parties.
No, of course.
And this is why there should have been interest from the American side, right? So,
but shockingly, there is no.
But again, there is even better thing here, or more controversial. Okay, and then the moaning starts about sanctions that Georgia's deputy prime minister, they mean Gomelauri here, and there's some other governmental officials.
Actually, that's also a false statement because at the time he was sanctioned, he was not deputy prime minister. They promoted him after the sanctions.
But it's not important. But what is important here is that sanctions are imposed for effectively preventing the attempted revolution and violence planned by the Biden administration and financed through USAID. Well, that's also something new that brings everything to a new level, because it appears that Biden administration was staging a coup d'etat here.
Yep.
Well, this is what it says.
There are many things which, especially Mr. Musk team, put blames on USAID. There is a waste of resources. There is a mismanagement, too big of organization, excessive bureaucracy. But nobody so far has blamed the USAID in sponsoring revolutions. I mean,
something new, entirely new.
Mostly it was that USAID spent too much on the woke agenda. I mean, you remember there was this case of transgender opera and the condoms to some African states. Yeah. But this is very new level. This is like Cold War level. I mean, this is a Panama or Cuba involvement. I mean, it means that now Bidzina puts a blame on the United States that they involved in other countries' affairs to launch revolution there. This is a very serious accusation to Biden, to Democratic Party, to USAID, to United States.
That was not the only case when Biden is mentioned there, so here's another one. The recent developments within Georgian society have given a rise to a growing sense that the statements about defeating the deep state are merely attempts at rebranding them, and nothing more. People find it perplexing that while you harshly criticized President Biden's decisions, you have yet to reverse any of his criminal actions. So it's not just the Biden administration was behind revolution here. The Biden himself appears to be a criminal, okay, or at least committed criminal actions.
Now this part is very much reminding us the Russian rhetorics here.
Okay, it does.
Russians are blaming Biden for, President Biden was the president who initiated the very extensive assistance packages to Ukraine, which eventually helped Ukraine to stop Russian, to halt at least Russian aggression and to even launch some counter. Russians hate Biden because of that, because he was very supportive of Ukraine. And if you look at their media statements, it's very much similar. Criminal, he's in league with this Zelensky. So from Georgian perspective, there is nothing to put such a heavy blame on Biden. He didn't do anything. Even for Bidzina, he didn't sanction him. I mean, it was in the very end of his presidency when it was the limited sanction. So it's not fair. But if you take it from Russian perspective, now everything becomes clear.
Okay, and not to go on forever about this letter, here it says that, well, unless new U.S. administration defeats deep state, revolutionary scenario planned under the Biden administration will continue to unfold, which means that deep state has not yet shelved its plans for revolution. And in the final paragraph, Kobakhidze hopes that their confrontation, means U.S. side with the deep state, is sincere and will ultimately lead to its defeat.
Now, let's go very quickly. And
This is the letter.
Yes.
Now you give us the analysis.
Now, three things. I will be very quick. First, form. We can agree that from grammar to the building of the sentences, I mean, the form is important part in diplomacy. Not only what you do, but how you do it. I mean, I'm not talking about the Chinese imperial court ceremony system, which was like the example of the overcomplication of the things, but there are certain things in every profession, that diplomacy is not outside of this logic. There is things, I mean, you worked very intensively in diplomacy, you worked in European Parliament, you were foreign secretary for the parliamentary party here. There's some basics you need to do. In this form, you can min and max some things. I mean, you can be more harsh, you can be more polite, you can be more kind. But this is not only outside diplomatical form, this is outside of any form I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know, even private letters, I think, would not be so low in its structure and value as this form is. So it's so amateurish that I can't establish a belief that it was written by any government official. Okay? Mm-hmm. It just doesn't happen that way. I mean, whoever you give, you won't come up with this form for the letter. Okay? This is a compilation of the texts about Biden, about deep state, put together. In the beginning, there is a concern. The weeks ago. Come on, what are you doing? Weeks ago. Yeah. And in the end, there is almost a threat that, we hope that. So that's it. Now, content inside. Mm-hmm. I think Bidzina Ivanishvili should pray to God that Biden doesn't really read this letter.
You mean Trump? Or Biden? Well, both, by the way.
Biden doesn't read it. Because he's still called the president of the United States.
And after all, he's deep state.
Yeah, and he is accused to be a criminal.
Okay, well, that's unthinkable.
I mean, President Biden.
Yeah.
He has an entire Democratic Party behind him, and Americans do not take lightly these kind of things. Even President Trump never accused Biden to be a criminal. His bitter political rival. And Trump is very, very colorful with his language. Yeah. Second...
you might call him like Sleepy Joe and all that stuff.
Jokes.
Yeah.
But criminal, that's a legal definition. In America, they don't joke with such things. Now, then, they also should pray to all saints that Trump does not lead this right. Because last thing Trump would tolerate that some nobody from nowhere in his understanding speaks with him in this tone.
And asks for money.
So, content is ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. It's not funny in no ways. It's deeply disturbing. And it shows that how little anybody has any influence over Bidzina Ivanishvili. I mean, that's, I think, the biggest thing. Because anybody from his inner cycle, I don't know, the Makabo Chorishvili, if she's a foreign minister in the end of it. I mean, she should be ashamed that under her watch this kind of letter is sent on behalf of Georgia. Because signatory is not Bidzina Ivanishvili, it's prime minister. It means that this is a government effort. Kobakhidze signs this letter. So it means that nobody was able to prevent this letter to be in such form. Mm-hmm. It means that this is a purely Mr. Bidzina said, now you're going to write this down, and they wrote it down.
And, the ending is like really kind of funny. That okay, guys, we defeated the deep state here.
Now it's your turn.
And now it's your turn. And
it's somehow, there is a hidden threat that we hope that you're gonna do. I don't know what Bidzina gonna do, but he may be unmasked. For the last 5 years they keep saying about unmasking some things. I don't know what they're gonna unmask. But now I have a question to you. Okay, form, content. What's the intent of all of that? First of all, what's the intent of sending this letter? I mean, he's not that idiot to do not understand what would be the reaction of this letter. And moreover, even a more interesting question, what's the intent of making it public for Georgian people?
I think that this is something that it was intended for, to making it public.
To what end?
To the Georgian public, to show that you see, take a look at our tone, how we speak to the Trump administration, take a look how brave we are, take a look how we are demanding some things from them,
Okay.
right? And if at the end nothing comes out of it, and I'm 100% sure that, well, this is already, okay, all attempts failed to settle relations, and now this is an attempt from Ivanishvili's regime basically to save their face, kind of, for their supporters, to show them that, okay, right, the deep state is still there, but we are not gonna cave in, and we are going to defend Georgia's interests and blah, 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 just a propaganda line. So, because what I don't really understand is, I mean, what could be the other purpose of it? The whole idea of sending an open letter, okay, come on, let's say, have you ever heard that one president sending an open letter to the other president, or one prime minister sending open letter to the other prime? If you are a taxi driver, you can, of course, send an open letter to a president, right? That's otherwise, okay. Now, this is why I think that this is a purely PR exercise, pure stunt to, as Lily says here, to blind their supporters, basically, and show that, even though the US administration doesn't want to talk to us, doesn't want to take our terms, right, we are going to be strong anyway, right?
Yeah.
And we defeated the deep state, and they still need to do it.
Well,
by the way, that reminded me an old joke. Have you heard that? Like, there's a lion and a bull drinking wine together, right? And
about car, yeah.
yeah, and then the bull's phone starts ringing, right? And then apparently it's his wife asking where he is, and
he doesn't answer.
Yeah, and well, probably she's asked, like, just don't drink a lot and come home, don't come home late, etc. And the bull kind of becomes angry and says that, you woman, it's none of your business, you mind your business, I'll come, whatever, and you don't measure how much I drink, whatever, and hangs up, right? And then a lion's phone rings, and apparently again that's his wife there, and this lion is so polite and so loving, and says that, darling, I love you, and don't worry, I won't drink a lot, I won't be late, I'll be careful on the road, etc. And then when the wine kind of starts working, the bull picks on the lion, says that, you the strongest animal in entire world and king of the kings and whatever, and how come that your wife bullies you that way? Okay, you should take lessons from me, how to treat wife. And what lion says there is that, okay, so we are not in the same boat. So you sleep with a cow and I sleep with a lion. So it could be the response from Trump's side because, well, deep state here, deep state there is two different things, right?
Well, even so, and what you said definitely has a lots of logic there from Georgian perspective. Price can be too high because this letter will not go away. Calling Biden criminal and shaming Trump might have a price which Georgian Dream might not be ready to pay in the future or able to pay in the future. For a short-term local boost, and I'm not sure that it worked as a good boosting thing because mostly it's ridiculed by lots of people, including their own supporters are in shock. What the hell is that? The same thing could be done much better, that's what I'm saying, without paying such a high price. This was if they had any hopes whatsoever to build something with Trump, this letter just finished it. So this is, I think, too high price for a PR stunt to pay. And moreover, this letter looks like that, leaving ChatGPT aside, that author or initiator of this process which resulted in this letter is deeply troubled psychologically. So that's what concerns me most, that I think our country now is ruled by a guy who has his demons in his head. I mean, this is obviously the results of the person who can write such a letter, who can have such a lack of understanding of the America, Trump, Biden. I mean, nobody can be that naive and nobody can be that stupid that you could write this letter, unless, of course, they are mentally stable.
Okay, let's move to the next question, which, do you want to read out that, Nodar?
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so it comes from Ramaz, yes? Yeah, the next question is from Ramaz. There are many, but I don't think we have time to answer all of them today. Could you explain what the deep state actually means? Oh, good luck with that. Or has anyone besides Ivanishvili ever claimed to have defeated it? Oh, that's the good part, yeah. So, you worked very long time in European Parliament. If you ask Georgian Dream, this is one of the seats of the deep state, heart of the deep state. Now tell us what's the deep state.
Okay, I'll try to answer this question seriously, because I mean, well, indeed that's a serious question in terms that how deep state is used by the Ivanishvili's regime, because it was used 6 times in that letter. Letter was a 2-pager. Deep state was used in at least 6 times there, and Trump used deep state twice in his political career, I think, maximum. Well, term deep state has several meanings, basically, and by the way, it comes from the Turkish background, Turkish word, which is like derin devlet,
which exactly means deep state,
So it emerged in 900s, I think, in Turkey, and it means basically that the alleged network of military and intelligence and bureaucracy attempting to kind of maintain particular ideological political status quo. But again, as time went, the meaning of deep state changed from negative, something like these shady groups that were trying to control the government, etc., to more neutral. For example, nowadays, I think that the modern definition of deep state is a bureaucracy or civil servant system that is protected well by law, that merit-based, that has no political loyalty, basically, to this or that party. And most importantly, this deep state or, again, bureaucracy outlives political leadership. Because in democracies, basically, parties come and go, leaders come and go, ministers come and go, but the civil servants stay.
So they serve as a protection, kind of.
Yeah,
in
it's
some
a kind
cases.
of also check and balance, part of check and balance system. Because look, what happens is that indeed sometimes there is a friction between political leadership
there are coalitions
and the bureaucracy. Because I mean sometimes they are too fast. They want to reform the country. And civil servants are reluctant to follow that, or sometimes are even opposing it. And I think that when Trump mentioned once or twice the need to defeat deep state, that was exactly that, because his executive orders were stopped by courts or by governors of some states locally, California versus Trump, Georgia versus Trump. There were a number of cases. So, well, the real meaning of deep state is that nowadays. But Georgian dream meaning of a deep state is something like this. Okay, by the way, we can put it in a Wikipedia or somewhere that, okay, is anyone or anything that criticizes or opposes Ivanishvili or his regime.
Very well put. I think that's exactly what
this
Georgian
is what deep state is.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Ramaz, I'm sorry, but you are also a deep state. Because you would not ask this question if you were business supporter. So.
Okay, but I think it is more interesting to dive into the issue how the Georgian dream ended up using deep states so much in their rhetoric. What was the road between war party to deep state? Because it's interesting because, well, 5 years ago, for example, if you listened to like TV shows by Georgian Dream officials, etc., the only kind of phrase that we were using basically about the global war party or deep state or whatever, it was just war party. And they referred to national movement, and that was even before Russia invaded Ukraine. And that was all about the differences between differences of the Georgian Dream's policy towards Russia and UNM's policy towards Russia. The Georgian Dream's policy was like not to irritate Russia, be so mild, etc., while UNM policy was kind of tougher on Russia. And this is where it came from. But then what happened, that anybody that criticized the Georgian Dream, they start becoming war party. You and me and some others, some other parties too. But when the criticism started coming from abroad, then there was a need for a war party to become a global war party. Because, I mean, well, first it started from Poland and Baltic states that the criticism came. Then it started from members of parliament, so members European parliaments, etc. But that time, Georgian Dream was saying that, well, no, I mean, the executive governments are not part of Global War Party, but some of those MPs and MEPs and some of those former Soviet countries are there. But this Global War Party started growing, and then some President Macron became also part of Global War Party, the Chancellor Scholz, etc., etc. But I think that when it is interesting when there was a transition between Global War Party and Deep State.
To the Deep State.
Deep State, because there's two reasons. There was two reasons for that. I think the first was that the Global War Party became too ridiculous, because everybody started joking about that. I even hear the story. So where are you coming from? I'm coming from Global War Party. What do you do there? I work there. So how do they pay well? Yeah. Long hours? Not really. I mean, something like that. But most importantly, that was the Trump who used deep state as a term.
And I think they picked it up.
Yeah, and they picked it up. And suddenly it basically kind of pushed the Global War Party out from the rhetoric, and the deep state became now a new Global War Party.
Plus the Global War Party situational. You need to have a war. Okay?
Oh yeah, and
deep state is about everything. I mean, you can blame a lack of the medicines that it's a deep state conspiracy. They just increased prices or cut down all the supplies to your system. Plus, I think they have these several guys who are trying kind of half understanding what's happening in America, because if they would fully understand, this letter would not exist. But anyway, they're following this, not only Trump, but some ultra-right speakers on internet TV especially. Not that much on mainstream TVs, but internet. Breitbart is one of the examples of that. And they use deep state quite well. And again, deep state in America is used, as you elegantly described, system which tries to prevent changes. Okay? I mean, they don't, they neglect to say that sometimes the changes are not very good and system is good at preventing. That's it. This is a court system, this is a bureaucracy, this is a system which does not allow these things to happen. But, of course, they could not use that. And they made war, now deep state is global conspiracy against Bidzina Ivanishvili by rest of the humankind, most probably, because it's growing and growing.
And this is why it is difficult to defeat it.
Yes.
Because it's constantly growing, because the criticism is growing.
Now, recently, the Mr. Polikashvili, who is a General Secretary for Tourism in United Nations, he was declared by Kobakhidze that he's also apparently deep state.
I need to double check if my dad is part of deep state as well. So.
No, Polikashvili is the highest ranking Georgian official international systems. He's one of the general secretaries. He is responsible for tourism. And the guy now keeps asking questions, why am I deep state? What's happened? I mean, and with this kind of logic, I think soon we might discover that Mr. Garibashvili was secretly plotting the deep state. Liluashvili definitely was. And then maybe one day even Kobakhidze was he was also planted.
Yeah, because Gagaria apparently was part of the deep state.
You know what it reminds me, and I don't want to be dramatic, but in the 30s, when Mr. Azhov organized the purges in Soviet system, the major pretext was the Trotskyist conspiracy. Okay, that's how it started. Trotskyist conspiracy. First, it was army. Tukhachevsky and all this stuff were all purged. I mean, 90% were executed, and then it went on and on and on. Didn't stop for 1 year until it resulted in deaths of more than 1.5 or 2 million people. That's how it's estimated. And in the end of the day, that's interesting. That's 35% of the judges and investigators who were doing the purge were purged themselves then.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in the end of the day, Mr. Rezhov himself was purged one day. Yes. So I think Mr. Kobakhidze is another Trotskyist theory of deep states, is a modern Trotskyist. And I think he stands now on a lonely path of Mr. Rezhov, where in the end of the day, he himself will be declared as a false prophet and deeply seated agents of the deep state. I think that will be the ending of that. And Mr. Ivanishvili then will try to put all the blames, including this letter, which is not addressed by Ivanishvili, but addressed by Kobakhidze legally.
Absolutely.
And this was all him. So, yeah, that's my prediction, and it's in a very Bidzina style.
Indeed. If you compare these to some of the earlier letters, so you will find a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your interest.
Thank you, Nodar. Thanks for watching us and listening to us. Like us, subscribe to us, and I'll see you next week.